question I get as Furina is, how on earth do you do that little antenna? I mean, it stays in place and bounces. Well, today I'm going to show you. The first step is you're going to be making a base out of some decorative aluminum wire. I measured it out based off of the little antenna that Doki Doki sent me, though really you're wanting like 2 or 3 inches of this. So if you're a measurement person, I would just do 2 or 3. I am also going to pre-curve it into the shape that I want, though I'm not going to be too picky at this point. The most important thing that you're going to do with this wire is you're going to make a loop almost in the fashion of a corkscrew, and this will allow you to attach it to your wig and detach it to your wig pretty easily. Then you just take some wire cutters and just snip it off. The next step is grabbing some Scotch tape, and you're going to sandwich that wire between 2 pieces of Scotch tape. And now I use the Scotch tape because it makes the hot glue stick onto that better than the itty bitty wire. It's really hard to get hair to stick onto that, and I found that this is much easier. And after that, you're going to take some scissors and you're going to cut it into a banana or feather looking thing, with it being fat in the middle and skinny up top. And then you will set that aside to create some wefts. Now for the wefts, I sacrificed Fossil Lore's wig for Furina, because I wanted to be a lore accurate cosplayer. And I'm just going to put some Ahoge glue in the corner and take a little toothbrush and just brush that through. As you can see, I'm using one hand to hold down the bottom of the weft or middle of the weft, just depending on where I am, and just make sure that glue is brushed through. And then I turn it over and do the back side. So I'm going to do that one more time so that you can see really what I'm doing. So yeah, glue in the corner, brush it through, and then get it in shape, flip it over, and I'm done. I ended up making 10 wefts in total, 5 blue, 5 white, and I really ended up using more of the white than the blue, but I still wanted to have extra just in case. Most importantly though, you want these to fully dry before you glue them onto your little hair banana. Part 3 is where the magic really happens and you get to assemble everything together. And I'm going to start with the back side of the antenna and just use some hot glue and just put a thin strip of hot glue down and just put the weft on that. And you just repeat the process with white on the other side. And you keep going. I also am going to clean up the edges of the antenna just a little bit, and I'm not going to worry too much if the antenna wefts are too long at this point, because at the end of this all, I'm going to just shape the ends and trim them all at once. So yeah, just really not worrying about that and working my way from one side to the other. But I started in the middle. And you can even see me use that toothbrush again to really just make sure I'm not touching hot glue as much as possible. It's a really bad habit of mine, and I'm trying to quit it before I burn myself accidentally. And I also try to use the sides of the hot glue to melt the sides of the antenna together, because I don't like that obvious gap that it creates. And later on, I ended up using extra wefts to further cover that. And how I did it is I just kind of put it on one side and then created a little C with that white just to hide it as much as I possibly can. And then at the end, I did go in with a little bit of the Ahoge glue and put it on the antenna directly and just brushed it out, and that took care of any stray hairs. Once I'm happy with it, or mostly happy with it, I just set it aside to dry overnight. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim it and kind of feel for that wire to know where to trim it and make a V with everything, and do the same at the bottom as best I can. But it's okay if it's a little bit not as clean at the bottom because it helps it blend into the wig. And I use tacky glue at the top to further shape that. I just like it because it's a thicker glue, though it is harder to work with with than the Uhu, I think. And yeah, I keep going. I am gonna let this dry and then do a whole nother layer. And I did add a little bit of hot glue. I don't know if I recommend this because yeah, it was a little hot. All right, and yeah, here are all 3 of the hair bananas that I made. I made one that I'm not very happy with, and then the third one I ended up making for this tutorial. I found a whole different method to make these, and I really liked how it turned out. This next part is going to be like, hey, just watch the video. I screw it in, I make adjustments as I go in and out, and if I am not feeling it, I just take it out, adjust the base corkscrew loop to how I want it, twist it back in, and then I just put a bobby pin that is the same color as the wig hair. And I'm just gonna put it at the back. I know my hat will cover it, or it just won't be seen as much. You will need to clean up Furina's antenna a little bit more than I did in the video. I was just impatient and wanted to show you guys the results. Anyway, have fun making your own Furina antenna, cause chaos, but also make sure to hydrate. And I don't know if you could hear my assistant the whole time, but there was a cat purring the entire time I recorded this.